What's up, everybody? My name's Rob Simmons, and welcome to my channel. Not only did we get a new Mr. Nightmare video today, we got two in one day. This one's called Two True Uber slash Lyft Horror Stories. So, is one story Uber, is the other Lyft? I don't know. And he's done a few of these story videos before in the past, so let's see what this one has in store.
This first story has high-quality visuals courtesy of the YouTube channel Dark Echoes.
Ah.
When I was 21,
Oh, wow.
I spent 2 years studying abroad in the United States. I was nearing the end of my second semester when my friend Letitia came to visit. She was the most perfect, blue-eyed, blonde-haired French girl that you could possibly imagine. One who embodied the full expression of sensuality.
No, this is new for Mr. Nightmare, having motion in his videos, not just still pictures.
Argentina, and I was instantly smitten by her beauty and passion for life and cultural immersion. After she got settled in, we went to a nearby city for sightseeing and dancing. It was a fun night. Letitia and I enjoyed drink after drink as we celebrated being back in each other's arms again. At 2 a.m. the nightclub closed, and Letitia and I said goodbye to our new friends. We walked to a Waffle House a couple blocks away and indulged in a calorie-heavy meal. We were happy, still a bit tipsy and ready to pick up where things left off back in Argentina. It was nearly 4 a.m. when Letitia and I left the restaurant. We requested an Uber to take us home and waited outside for the car to pick us up.
That's actually
2
smart.
minutes later, an average-looking vehicle pulled up and stopped
But it might
directly
not
in
be,
front of us.
now that I say that out loud.
The driver waved for us to get in, and we thought nothing of it. We climbed in, and Letitia
It
gave
might
me a
not be
playful
the
spin.
Uber driver.
As the car pulled out of the parking lot, the driver asked for the address. I searched my purse for the information on the rental we were staying at and give it to him. It didn't occur to me in that moment that he should have already had that information from when we requested the service.
He's not the Uber driver.
The moving
I'll
lights
call,
from the
I'll
street
call it
lamps
right now.
intermittently illuminated Letitia's body. She was wearing a thin blue dress that flattered her beautiful silhouette. I was eager to explore her body beneath. As she pulled my mouth close to hers, I could see a notification light illuminating the leather car seats. I tried to steal a look, but a seductive whisper from Letitia redirected my attention back to her.
Oh boy.
Another notification.
It's the real
This time I
driver.
checked my phone, and to my surprise, it was from Uber. It
Yep,
said
I
our
knew
car had
it.
arrived at the Waffle House. I started searching the car for the Uber logo. My heart sunk as I realized we weren't in an official vehicle. I told the driver, "Sir, I think we got in the wrong Uber." With a reassuring tone, he responded that it was okay because he was an independent driver and that we were almost there. I felt my increasing
Don't trust
anxiety.
him.
Once again, I was pulled into Letitia's seductive web. She continued to kiss my neck. A few minutes later, the car abruptly turned. I looked out the window and saw we weren't on the
Do you
freeway
want to
anymore.
tell
We were
Letitia
on a
what's
side street in a
happening?
mostly empty section of the city. When I looked up at the driver, I noticed he was leering at us through the rearview mirror. My paranoia took over. I sat straight in my seat and gently separated myself from Letitia. She was unhappy I pulled away, but I told her to slide over and gestured at the driver. She immediately understood and stopped being so overtly physical with me in the back. A few seconds later, the car pulled into an industrial parking lot and stopped. This obviously wasn't the destination, and we were both worried. Letitia took my hand and squeezed her body close enough that I could feel her rapid heartbeat against my arm. The driver turned off the car and used his fingers to brush his hair to the side, and then he said, "Want to have some fun?" I mustered as much strength as I could manage and let him know we just wanted to go home. I tried to sound strong and authoritative, but my voice came off soft and weak.
No.
With a
Run.
penetrating
Get out of
gaze,
the car.
he
Get
said
out of
that he
there.
was a nice guy with alcohol back at his apartment. He turned back to face us, and Letitia squeezed even tighter against me. I demanded he start the car and take us back home. After a long glance at our legs, he turned back to the front and started driving again. I took out my phone and dialed a friend from the college. No answer. I tried another friend. Nothing. I realized it was almost 5 a.m. on a weekend. Nobody was going to answer. Nobody was going to help. And then he pulled into a large empty parking lot and stopped again. Letitia started panicking. I could feel her legs shaking against mine. Her desperation was palpable. I spoke in the loudest, deepest voice I could muster. We're done, we're
Oh,
leaving. He only smiled and leered.
oh boy.
I tried to open my door, but it didn't budge. Letitia tried to open hers and had the same result.
Mm-hmm.
The
Child
driver
safety
must have
lock.
activated the child locks. Letitia started screaming. Her heavily accented English was almost impossible to understand. I quickly took the phone and tried to call my friend again. It went to voicemail.
No, call
We
911.
were in an isolated parking lot in the middle of the night with no one walking or driving anywhere nearby. Two petite girls with micro dresses, high heels, and nothing in our purses to possibly defend ourselves. The driver
Need to
reached
use
back
the
and put
heels.
his hand on Letitia's leg.
Those
He
make
slapped
good
it away.
weapons.
Feisty Frenchie, he said. He suddenly opened his door and left the car. He walked to the nearby bushes and started looking for something. Letitia turned to me and said, "We're gonna die, he'll kill us." In that moment, I suddenly remembered a documentary I saw as a child in Argentina. In one of the stories, a woman described how she avoided being assaulted. I told Letitia I had a plan. I put 2 fingers into my mouth and triggered my gag reflex. A moment later, I vomited in my hands. I then started rubbing the foul mix of alcohol and pancakes all over my dress. When the smell hit Letitia, she puked as well. We both rubbed it on our arms, legs, and even our faces. We were absolutely
I'm sorry, but I cannot
disgusting.
take these I can't take these
Sounds of the doors
videos.
unlocking. I looked up and saw the infuriated driver holding a grimy bag he must have retrieved from the bushes. He screamed at us to get out. We stumbled out of the car and hardly had a moment to collect ourselves before he drove off. A feeling of relief washed away my fear. I took out my phone to request another Uber. We sat together, contemplating the night. We were alone. Nothing left to fear. The worst was behind us.
Oh
Letitia
no.
took off her dress, and we used it to clean
Don't.
ourselves the best we could. When our car arrived, we confirmed it was our Uber and got inside. Letitia comforted me by taking my hand, and I knew this was an experience neither of us would ever forget.
Wow. Now that was quite the video from Mr. Nightmare. That music is
Stormy night.
just
First
scary.
thunderstorm of the year.
Oh, we're back
This
to
was after
still
my night
pictures.
shift ended at 4 a.m., and I had to call a Lyft to the train station since I didn't have my car at the time. I waited outside the place I bartended at the time, under the front patio to avoid getting soaked. A car pulled down the empty street and stopped in front of the bar. I had to check the Lyft app to ensure it was the correct car, and it was. A gray Honda Civic.
Good.
I got in and greeted the driver, whose name was Sahil. I attempted to get in the front seat at first, but he told me not to and to sit in the back. That was only the second time I ever tried sitting in the front. That was before I realized it was customary to sit in the back seat. From the bar to the train station, it was about 10 minutes. The reason I was taking the train instead of just Ubering the whole way to my house is because I'd be saving about $40.
Well, that's good.
The driver was going very slow, but there was nothing weird about that given the weather outside. I would expect anyone to drive cautiously in a torrential downpour like this one.
Yeah, I would
The
do the
driver
same
didn't
thing.
take the highway route. He took us down the side roads. I wasn't concerned about missing my train, though. I had plenty of time. I wasn't concerned until the driver said something under his breath and then pulled the car to the side of the road. I looked up from my phone to see why and saw a man in the pouring rain waving his hands in the air. I almost asked if he was stopping to pick him up, but I just observed. And yes, the man on the street got in the back passenger seat next to me. He was soaking wet. He kept his black hood on in the car. I scooted all the way over to the left. I was expecting the man and the driver to exchange some kind of words, but they didn't. Did they know each other? I had no idea what was going on. During the ride, I felt in the corner of my eyes the feeling of that man next to me looking at me. Maybe he was looking out my window, so I shot a quick half-second glance to him. But I was wrong. He was looking at me. On top of it, as the drive progressed, I started paying more attention to the route we were taking. It wasn't the right way to the train station. I tried to sneak a peek at the driver's phone screen to see if maybe he was following some incorrect route, but he seemed to have his phone on his lap.
Anyone
Like
else
most
feel like
Lyft
they're in the
drivers with their
car
phones mounted on the
driving in the
dashboard.
rain? Because I do.
I politely said, "I think we're going the wrong way." He replied something in such a low tone mixed with a thick accent that I had a hard time understanding it. By the third time I asked him to repeat himself, I finally just repeated myself and said we're going the wrong way. I confirmed this by checking the map on my phone. The driver didn't acknowledge me. I felt as though the guy next to me was inching closer every minute. He
These
also
two have
wouldn't
something
stop
up their
staring at me.
sleeves.
Eventually, I asked the driver to pull over and canceled the ride. No acknowledgement. The driver was blowing stop signs, and there were no stoplights anywhere on these side roads, so I didn't really have a good time to escape, but I knew I was about to be their victim of something. This was some kind
Yeah,
of trap.
get out of there,
So I
dude.
decided I was going to jump out of the car when I had the chance. I waited till we were on a street with woods on one side, which was perfect for me to make my escape. The car was going probably 15 to 20 miles per hour. I opened the car and jumped out. The two
Wow.
men screamed stuff in a different language, I'm guessing to each other. My impact with the ground was obviously painful, but I think the layer of water on the street might have cushioned my fall a little bit.
Oh, that's
The
good.
car completely stopped, and I saw the man who was next to me get out. I had to get on my feet and run into the woods. I heard him chasing after me for a little bit, but there was no shot he'd find me. I heard him yell something back to the car. It sounded like it was in Russian. Then he ran back to the car and they drove off. I immediately called an Uber instead of a Lyft this time. And this time I was brought safely
What?
to the train station.
I called 911.
While on the train, I went ahead and filed an online police report, and then contacted Lyft and reported the driver. The next day, I also went to the police station and reported the whole incident. But here's where the bomb was dropped. There was
What?
a gray Honda Civic reported stolen just the night before. I gave
Oh.
them every last detail I could remember, and eventually I was on my way. I left that police station contemplating my life, and just how narrowly
Yikes.
I may have escaped with my life.
Wow. I gotta admire this dude for having the courage to jump out of a moving car because, well, like you said, it must have been very painful. Maybe you should double as a stunt man. But anyway, that's it for the two stories. And I know I usually ask at the end of every Mr. Nightmare reaction which story was the scariest to you. To me, by far the scariest story was the first one because, well, I'm actually glad I reacted to this video for Mr. Nightmare because this was special because, again, the first story had actual footage of the story being told and it made the story much easier to follow, actually seeing it being done even though it was acted out, and it added a whole other level to the suspense side of it, seeing the two girls scared. And I have to say they were really good actresses. Even though they didn't have any lines, their facial expressions really added to the suspense side of the story. And I'm not sure if he's going to do that, Mr. Nightmare is going to do that for every story because, well, I don't think that's actually exactly easy to do. So I gotta give some credit to Dark Echoes for providing the footage. But let me know in the comments what you think of this video. Thank you for watching.